They said he was crazy. A 17-year-old boy, standing in the middle of a drought-cracked field,
holding a fistful of sunflower seeds like they were gold, while every farmer in Harlow County shook their head and laughed.
They didn't know what he'd been through to get to that field. They didn't know what those seeds cost him, and they had absolutely no idea what those seeds were about to do.
3 years before that moment, Noah Calloway had a family, a home, and a future. Three years before that moment, everything he loved was ripped away in a single night, not by accident, not by fate, but by the one man who was supposed to protect him.
They said he was crazy. A 17-year-old boy standing in the middle of a drought-cracked field, holding a fistful of sunflower seeds like they were gold, while every farmer in Harlow County shook their head and laughed. They didn't know what he'd been through to get to that field. They didn't know what those seeds cost him. And they had absolutely no idea what those seeds were about to do. 3 years before that moment, Noah Calloway had a family, a home, and a future. 3 years before that moment, everything he loved was ripped away in a single night, not by accident, not by fate, but by the one man who was supposed to protect him. And if you think you know where this story goes, you don't. Because the twist at the end of this one? Nobody saw it coming. Not even Noah. If you've ever been laughed at, counted out, or left with nothing, subscribe right now. This story was made for you. Noah was 16 when his parents died. Not in some dramatic crash or headline tragedy, just a quiet, terrible Thursday in November, when a semi ran a red light on Route 9 and took Daniel and Clara Calloway with it in 4 seconds flat. No suffering, the officer said, as if that was supposed to help. As if 4 seconds was supposed to be enough time to say goodbye to the two people who built your whole world. The farm they left behind, Calloway Acres, 42 hectares of wheat, corn, and legacy just outside of Millhaven, Ontario, was supposed to go to Noah and his younger sister, Gracie, who was 12 and still slept with the bedroom light on. Their parents had a will, clear, legal, notarized. The farm and the savings account with just over $200,000 went into a trust, managed by their father's older brother, Raymond Calloway, until Noah turned 21. Raymond showed up at the funeral in a pressed black suit, his wife Corinne beside him in heels that were wrong for a gravel cemetery. He hugged Noah with one arm and told him, "Your family. I'm going to take care of everything." Noah believed him. That was his first mistake. The second mistake was not reading the fine print of what taking care of everything actually meant to a man like Raymond Calloway. Within 8 months, the farm's equipment had been quietly sold. The combine harvester, the seed drill, 2 irrigation pumps, and the backup generator. Raymond called it liquidating underperforming assets. He moved himself and Corinne into the farmhouse under the excuse of overseeing operations and began drawing a management salary from the trust. $2,500 a month for managing a farm he didn't work and didn't understand. Corinne redecorated. New kitchen, new floors. She tore out Clara Calloway's rose garden to put in a patio. Noah watched all of it from the corner bedroom where he'd grown up, his jaw tight, his fists tighter. Every time he said something, every time he pushed back, Raymond would sit him down at the kitchen table with a glass of water and a soft voice and say the same thing. "Noah, you're a kid. Let the adults handle this." Gracie would squeeze his hand under the table. She always knew when he was about to say something that would make it worse. By the time Noah turned 17, there were $43,000 left in the trust. He only found out because he broke into Raymond's filing cabinet while they were at dinner in town. He sat on the floor of that study with the folder open in his lap and felt something go cold inside him that didn't warm up again for a long time. He called the only lawyer he knew, Marcus Webb, who'd handled his parents' estate and was listed on the will documents. Marcus picked up on the second ring. "Mr. Webb," Noah said quietly, because Corinne's heels could be heard on the front porch. "I need to know if what my uncle is doing is legal." There was a pause on the line. Then Marcus said, "How much is left?" 43,000. Another pause, longer this time. "Noah, I need you to listen to me very carefully. Don't touch anything in that office. Don't confront your uncle. And come see me Monday morning. Bring Gracie." Noah put the folder back exactly as he'd found it. He closed the cabinet. He walked upstairs and knocked on Gracie's door. She opened it in her pajamas, her brown hair in 2 braids, looking so much like their mother that it hit him like a fist to the chest every single time. "What's wrong?" she said immediately, because she always knew.
Just what matters.
"Pack a bag," he said. "Not everything. Just what matters." Monday came, but Raymond moved faster. Sunday night, Corinne found the filing cabinet slightly ajar. She didn't say anything at dinner. She just watched Noah with her pale gray eyes across the chicken and roasted potatoes. And Noah watched her back, and they both smiled. And neither smile reached anywhere close to their eyes. Monday at 5 in the morning, Raymond knocked on Noah's door. He was already dressed. Corinne stood behind him in the hallway, arms folded. "I've been thinking," Raymond said in that careful, measured voice, "that this arrangement isn't working anymore. You're almost an adult, Noah. It's time you learn to stand on your own." Noah stared at him. "You're kicking us out." "I'm encouraging independence. She's 12, Raymond. Corinne and I will remain Gracie's legal guardians until—" "No." Noah's voice came out quiet and absolute. "No, you won't." He had already called Marcus Webb. He had already told Gracie. And he had already packed 2 bags, one for him, one for her, because he had seen this coming the way you see a storm on a flat horizon. Too far away to do anything about it, until suddenly, it's right on top of you. He took his sister's hand at the front door. He looked back once at Corinne, who stood in the kitchen doorway, holding a mug of coffee, like nothing unusual was happening. "This isn't over," he said. "Not a threat, just a fact." She sipped her coffee. "It really is, sweetheart." They had $60, 2 backpacks, and Marcus Webb's address. Marcus was 62, with the kind of face that had seen too much courthouse drama to be rattled by anything. He let them in, fed them toast and eggs, and set a folder on the table between them. "The good news," he said, "is that your uncle committed fraud. The bad news is that proving it takes time. The worst news is that in the meantime, you two need somewhere to live." "What about the farm?" Noah asked. "The farm is in the trust. He can't sell it without a court order, but he can keep living on it until the case resolves. Could be 6 months, could be 2 years. Gracie was drawing small circles on the edge of her placemat. She looked up. "Is there anywhere else? Any other property?" Marcus paused. He opened the folder. "Actually, yes. This is something I've been meaning to bring up." He slid a document across the table. "Your parents owned a second parcel. 20 hectares, about 14 kilometers east of Millhaven. Old farmstead. Your father bought it at auction 8 years ago, never developed it. It's not in the trust because it was in your mother's name only, and passed directly to you both upon her death." Noah stared at the document. "We own land. You own land. Unoccupied, hasn't been farmed in over 15 years. The house is standing, according to the county records, but I can't tell you what condition it's in." Gracie looked at Noah. Noah looked at Gracie. "We'll take it," they both said.
We'll take it.
They arrived at the property on a Tuesday afternoon in late October, the kind of day where the sky can't decide between gray and blue and settles on both. The lane was barely visible under a decade of overgrowth, just 2 pale ruts through the long grass leading to a farmhouse that leaned very slightly to the left, like it was listening to something underground. It has walls, Gracie said, with the specific brand of optimism that only 12-year-olds and very experienced survivors can manage. It has walls, Noah agreed. The front door opened with a shoulder and a prayer. Inside smelled like thyme, old wood, dried dust, something faintly floral from a can of air freshener that had given up the fight years ago. The kitchen had a hand pump that still drew water. The fireplace was intact. The roof had 2 soft spots they found by stepping carefully across every floorboard in sequence, which Gracie turned into a game without being asked to. Behind the house was a barn with a rusted hinge on the main door and a loft full of forgotten equipment. An old hand tiller, 3 flats of mason jars, coils of wire fencing, and under a canvas tarp in the corner, a hand-painted wooden crate stenciled with the words, Whitmore Seeds, 1987. Noah pried the lid open. Inside, vacuum-sealed in thick foil pouches, were hundreds of seed packets, tomatoes, squash, kale, beans, and sunflowers. Dozens of packets of sunflowers. He held one up. Gracie stood beside him. "What are we going to do with sunflowers?" she said. "I have no idea," he said honestly. He put them back in the crate. He didn't throw them away. They survived that first winter on determination, instant oatmeal, and a fierce unwillingness to give Raymond Calloway the satisfaction of being right. Noah got a part-time job at the Millhaven hardware store. Cash in hand, no questions asked. The owner, a barrel-chested man named Pete, who looked at Noah's hands and said, "You work like someone who's been working his whole life." Noah fixed the roof soft spots on weekends. He rehung the barn door. He split 2 cords of firewood from a fallen oak at the property edge and stacked it against the east wall of the house with the systematic precision of someone who understands exactly what cold means. Gracie enrolled in the local middle school and refused to tell anyone she was living in a house without central heating. She made friends faster than Noah expected, brought home a library book on Canadian kitchen gardens, and left it open on the kitchen table beside his coffee every morning, like a hint he wasn't allowed to ignore. In March, she put a sticky note on the seed crate in the barn. It said, "It's time." He stood there for a long moment, looking at that note. Then he took out the Whitmore seed catalog he'd found tucked inside the crate, a yellow document from 1994 that described the sunflower variety inside as Helianthus annuus variety, Titan, a heritage oilseed sunflower, high drought tolerance, deep taproot system, soil conditioning properties, excellent commercial value. He took the catalog to Marcus Webb, who was helping them file the fraud claim against Raymond. Marcus read it, then looked up. "This variety is rare," he said. "There's been a shortage of heritage oilseed cultivars in this region for years. If you can grow a viable crop—" "How much?" Noah said. Marcus pulled a face that meant he was doing math he wasn't sure about. "Wholesale. Could be anywhere from $800 to $1,200 per hectare for a first-year crop, depending on yield, condition, buyer." Noah sat very still. 12 hectares if he cleared the backfields. Best case scenario, $14,000. Enough to finish the legal case. Enough to breathe. He drove back to Millhaven and walked into the feed store on Carver Street to ask about soil testing and tilling rental. The owner, a red-faced man named Gerald Holt, who had farmed the county his whole life, listened to Noah's plan and then started laughing. Not meanly, but completely. He laughed until he coughed. "Son," he said, wiping his eyes, "you want to grow heritage sunflowers on 15-year fallow land with a hand tiller, no irrigation, and no capital, by yourself, and sell them commercially." "Yes," Noah said. "That's the funniest thing I've heard all spring." Noah bought the soil test kit and left. He tested the soil himself over 3 days, row by row, careful as a surgeon. The results were better than he'd expected. The 15 years of dormancy had allowed nitrogen levels to recover. The deep clay subsoil held moisture. The drainage was poor on the east side, but workable. He rented the tiller. He worked 12-hour days. He wore through one pair of gloves, then another. Gracie came out after school and walked the rows behind him, pressing seeds into the scored earth with both thumbs, one at a time, with the focus of someone diffusing something. They planted 8 hectares. Every packet in the crate, plus 3 more ordered from a heritage seed supplier in Manitoba that cost Noah 2 weeks of hardware store wages and made him feel slightly ill when he clicked confirm on the order. Then they waited. The first week of July, Gerald Holt drove past the property on his way to check his own fields to the north. He slowed. He stopped. He got out of the truck. 8 hectares of sunflowers, head height, faces turned east, gold and enormous against a blue Ontario sky. Perfectly spaced, absolutely healthy. The kind of crop that looked less like farming and more like someone had painted it. He stood at the fence for a long time. He didn't laugh. He came back the next day with his daughter, Elena. Elena Holt was 24 and had a degree in agricultural business from Guelph. She'd come home 6 months ago to help her father manage the family operation and had been slowly pulling it in the direction of the 21st century, with the patience of someone who loves a person more than she resents their stubbornness. She was sharp-eyed and direct, with muddy boots and a clipboard she carried everywhere, and she stopped at the gate and looked at Noah's field for 30 seconds before she looked at Noah. "How much of this is yours?" she said. "All of it." "Did you grow this alone?" "Me and my sister." Elena looked at the clipboard, then back at the sunflowers. "Heritage oilseed Titan variety?" "Yes." "I know 3 buyers who would want this crop yesterday. 2 in Hamilton, 1 in Guelph. I can broker the introduction for a 6% commission." Noah looked at her for a moment. He was 17, gap-toothed from a fall off a fence at age 9 that had never quite healed straight, hands that were permanently stained with soil. She was 24 and had a clipboard and a truck and a degree and clearly knew exactly what she was doing. 5%, he said. She smiled for the first time. Done. The harvest came in at 11.3 hectares equivalent yield. 2 buyers competed. The final sale price was just under $16,000, $4,000 more than Marcus's best-case estimate. Noah sat in the farmhouse kitchen the evening the payment cleared and read the bank notification on his phone 3 times. Gracie was doing homework across the table. She looked up and read his face the way she always did. "How much?" she said. He told her. She put down her pencil very carefully. Then she got up and hugged him so hard he felt it in his spine. "Mom would have cried," she said into his shoulder. "She would have cried, and then told me I needed to rotate the crop next year," he said. Gracie laughed. That real laugh, the one that sounded like their mother. He held on a second longer than necessary. Raymond Calloway heard about the sunflowers from Gerald Holt, who mentioned it at a county meeting without knowing the full story. Raymond called Noah that same evening, first time in 8 months. "I heard you've been busy," he said warmly in that careful voice. "I'm proud of you, Noah. That's a real initiative." Noah sat at the kitchen table and looked at the wall. "We should talk," Raymond said. "Family is family. Whatever happened between us. Raymond, water under the bridge. I think we could work together on this. I have contacts, experience." "Raymond." Noah's voice was very quiet. "How much of my parents' money did you spend?" Silence. "Because I know the number," Noah said. "And so does Marcus Webb. And so does the Ontario Securities Commission, who Marcus contacted in February." The warmth left Raymond's voice like a switch had been thrown. "You don't know what you're talking about." $157,000, Noah said. "Remodeling, travel, personal expenses, and your management salary that you invented without trustee approval. Marcus filed the formal complaint 4 months ago. You'll be getting a letter soon, if you haven't already." The line went silent for so long, Noah checked to see if the call had dropped. "This will get ugly," Raymond said finally. "It's already ugly," Noah said. "It's been ugly for a year. I'm just the only one who's been honest about it." He hung up. Corinne called 3 minutes later. He didn't pick up. The legal case was resolved the following spring. A settlement negotiated to avoid criminal charges required Raymond to repay $93,000 in documented misappropriated funds. He sold his car, liquidated a savings account, and signed over a piece of recreational property in northern Ontario that was auctioned for the remainder. The original Callaway Acres farm, the 42 hectares, was returned to Noah and Gracie's trust to be properly managed until Noah's 21st birthday. Noah was 18 by then. He stood outside the farmhouse he'd grown up in for the first time in 2 years, keys in his hand, Gracie beside him, Elena Holt leaning against her truck at the end of the lane, clipboard under her arm. Raymond and Corinne had left a mess. The patio where the rose garden had been was cracked. The kitchen reno was half finished. The equipment was still gone. "We'll need at least a season to get it producing again," Elena said from the lane. "I know," Noah said. "It's going to be hard." "I know that too." He looked at the place where his mother's roses had been. He thought about the vacuum-sealed packet still in his jacket pocket. He'd brought it deliberately. A single envelope of Helianthus, Agnus variety Titan, 3 seeds left over from last year's planting. "Start with the south field," he said. "We'll put sunflowers in first." Gracie took his hand. He let her. 3 years after everyone in Harlow County laughed at the boy with the sunflower seeds, Noah Callaway stood on the stage of the Ontario Young Farmer of the Year Awards, Gracie in the front row wearing their mother's earrings, Elena Holt 2 seats over trying and failing to look like she wasn't emotional, and Marcus Webb in the back in a suit that fit better than the one he'd worn to the funeral. The moderator said, "Noah, what would you tell a young person who's starting with nothing?" Noah looked out at the room. He thought about a cold November kitchen with $43,000 in a folder on the floor. He thought about a leaning farmhouse with 2 soft spots on the roof. He thought about seeds in a crate under a canvas tarp. He thought about Gracie pressing seeds into cold earth with her thumbs, methodical and patient and certain. "I'd tell them," he said, "that the thing everyone laughs at is usually the thing worth planting." The moderator smiled and moved to the next question. Gracie mouthed something from the front row. He couldn't hear it, but he knew what it was. She'd been saying it since they were kids. Mom would have cried. He laughed. He blinked fast. He stood a little straighter. He didn't know yet about the letter. The letter that was sitting on the kitchen table back at the farmhouse, postmarked from a law office in Guelph, bearing the name of a solicitor he'd never heard of. A letter about the Whitmore Seeds estate, and a heritage seed trust, and a man named Arthur Whitmore, who had died without heirs and left a very specific instruction in his will regarding anyone who successfully cultivated and sold a heritage Titan sunflower crop in Ontario. Noah didn't know about any of that yet. He would in the morning. And everything, again, was about to change. What would you plant if you had to start over with nothing? And do you think Raymond deserved worse than what he got? Drop it in the comments, and if Noah's story hit differently, you know what to do. Part 2 is coming, and what's in that letter will change everything you think you know about this story.